Hey everyone, welcome to this explainer. Today we're taking those standard, sometimes intimidating SAP ABAP interview questions and turning them into your ultimate step-by-step preparation masterclass. Whether you're a complete beginner stepping into the vast world of SAP or a seasoned professional just looking to brush up on the core fundamentals, you are in the exact right place.
Here's our roadmap for today. We're going to kick things off with SAP and ERP fundamentals, then look at architecture and HANA evolution. After that, we'll dive into system landscapes and clients, followed by navigating the SAP GUI, and we'll wrap it all up with a final interview recap. Let's jump right in.
Section 1. SAP and ERP fundamentals. Think of this as interview round 1. Before an interviewer ever lets you touch a line of code, they really want to see if you actually grasp the business value of the platform you're developing on. So here's the ultimate icebreaker question you're almost guaranteed to face. What is ERP and why do companies use it? This is their way of seeing if you can explain enterprise resource planning simply, completely free of any heavy technical jargon. All right, so ERP stands for Enterprise Resource Planning. Essentially, it's a centralized software system that integrates all of a company's key business processes. We're talking finance, sales, HR, all into one single source of truth. Imagine a company where the warehouse system literally doesn't talk to the sales system. A customer orders something and oops, it's actually out of stock. ERP completely prevents that nightmare. Now, the absolute crucial keyword you want to drop in your interview here is centralized database. A huge mistake beginners make is forgetting that ERP's main goal isn't just about digitizing manual tasks. It's about bringing scattered departments into one real-time system so leaders can make better decisions. So, your big takeaway? ERP is all about real-time centralized integration. To really appreciate that integration, let's take a quick look at the major SAP modules. You've got functional areas like FI and CO for finance, MM and SD handling materials and sales, right down to HR and production. But as an interviewee, your golden takeaway is at the technical level. ABAP and Basis act as the absolute technical backbone, supporting all of those other functional business modules. You're essentially building the engine that makes the entire company run. Moving on to Section 2, Architecture and HANA Evolution. Welcome to Interview Round 2. Now the interviewer is going to dig into the technical foundations just to see how well you know how the system operates under the hood. You will almost certainly hear this one. Explain SAP's three-tier architecture. They're asking this to make sure you know exactly where your ABAP code is executing versus where the data is actually sitting. So the system is split into 3 distinct layers: presentation, application, and database. Let's use a restaurant analogy, because it fits perfectly. The presentation layer, think SAP GUI or Fiori, that's the dining room, where users sit, interact, and read the menu. The application layer, which is where your ABAP logic executes, is the kitchen staff busily processing all those orders. And finally, the database layer, storing all the business data, is your pantry, holding all the ingredients. As a developer, your code lives entirely in that application layer kitchen. You never want your kitchen staff running out to the dining room to take orders. A really common trope is blurring the lines between these, so make sure you clearly separate the interface from the logic and the storage. Bottom line, the 3-tier architecture strictly isolates the user interface, the processing logic, and the data storage, which makes the whole thing massively scalable. Next up is probably the biggest showdown question in modern SAP interviews. What is the difference between SAP ECC and SAP S/4HANA? This is basically a test to see if you're ready for the future of the platform. Let's put them side by side. ECC is the legacy, traditional ERP setup. It runs on traditional databases, which inherently means complex tables and slower reporting. S/4HANA, on the other hand, is a massive leap forward. But listen closely, because I need to highlight a fatal beginner mistake right here. Whatever you do, do not say S/4HANA is just a database. The absolute magic keyword you must emphasize is in memory. S/4HANA is the entire enterprise suite completely redesigned to run on the incredibly fast SAP HANA in-memory database. Doing this unlocks a beautifully simplified data model, blazing fast reporting, and those sleek, modern Fiori interfaces. To sum it up, ECC is your legacy traditional setup, while S/4HANA is the high-speed, in-memory future of SAP. All right, Section 3, System Landscapes and Clients. Round 3 of your interview. Let's see if you can safely navigate the development lifecycle without, completely crashing a live system. This next question really separates the pros from the amateurs. What is a system landscape, and why is quality assurance required? They're directly testing your respect for strict deployment protocols here. Here's the standard 3-system landscape. First, you have Dev, the development environment, where you create and modify your objects. Then comes QA, quality assurance, where testers rigorously validate those changes. And finally, PRD, the live production environment actually used by end users. Now, you absolutely must emphasize the phrase transport request here. That is the vehicle moving your code safely between these stages. A huge red flag in an interview is suggesting that you can just quickly bypass QA to push a fix. Never, ever do that. You have to make it clear that QA is strictly required to test changes and completely eliminate the risk of production errors. So remember, the Dev, QA, and PRD landscape exist to protect live business data from untested code. Following right up on that, they'll likely ask, what is a client in SAP? Now, don't confuse this with a human customer paying for services or a piece of physical server hardware. Interviewers are looking for a very specific organizational definition here. An SAP client is a self-contained organizational unit within an SAP system, featuring its own completely separate master and transaction data. Think of clients kind of like different virtual companies, all living securely inside the exact same apartment building. Because they're completely self-contained, you can have multiple clients safely coexisting in one single system without their data ever mixing. For example, client 000 for standard SAP delivery, and maybe client 800 for your specific customer development. The main takeaway? Clients keep data isolated and perfectly secure within the very same system. Moving into Section 4, Navigating the SAP GUI. Welcome to interview round 4. It's time for them to assess your daily workflow efficiency and how well you actually know your developer toolkit. They're going to test your actual hands-on knowledge by asking, what is a transaction code, or T-code, and what exactly is the command field? Well, a T-code is simply a shortcut that you enter directly into the command field at the top of your screen to instantly access specific SAP functions. Mentioning this correctly is super important because if you rely entirely on clicking your way through endless nested menu paths, well, it's going to drain your sanity and your time. Real professionals use T-codes in the command field for instant, direct access to their tools. So the takeaway here is simple. T-codes are hands down the absolute fastest way to navigate the SAP system. And bringing that up will almost immediately trigger this rapid-fire test. Name important ABAP T-codes for a developer. This is your moment to prove you really do know your way around the ABAP workbench. When you're asked this, a great strategy is to group your answers. First, mention your core builder kit. You know, SC11 for the ABAP dictionary and SC38 for the ABAP editor. Once you've got those down, show off your debugging skills. Mention codes like SM37 for job monitoring and ST22 for dump analysis. Bringing those up shows the interviewer you aren't just a coder, you actually know how to monitor and debug a system like a seasoned pro. Your takeaway? Group your T-codes logically by development and monitoring. It shows true platform mastery. Finally, we arrive at Section 5, Final Interview Recap. Let's take a quick moment to really lock in these critical concepts so you can absolutely ace that interview. Always keep this big picture in mind. ERP centralizes scattered business data. The 3-tier architecture beautifully separates the user interface, your ABAP logic, and the database. S/4HANA takes all of that and just supercharges it with lightning-fast in-memory speed. The Dev, QA, and PRD landscapes fiercely protect live data by strictly using transport requests. And of course, T-codes are your daily essential shortcuts. Remember, you aren't just writing lines of code here. You're building scalable, highly secure solutions on a massive enterprise architecture. I'm going to leave you with this final provocative thought. You know the answers now, but can you actually build the solutions? Acing the interview really is just the beginning. I highly encourage you to use this momentum, apply these core concepts, and dive straight into our next technical ABAP explainer. Thanks so much for joining me today, and keep on learning.